Welcome back to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your boy AJ.
It's Eli. We back with a whole nother new segment that we want to introduce. So go ahead and jump it off, AJ.
Yeah, so what we're going to do now, outside of our typical interview format, like we do, like we're going to have the guest on that we just have topic conversations about certain things that interest us as fathers. And what we have for the first one today is, man, were you our first guest or second guest that we ever had on the pod?
First, first
First.
guess. Yeah, first guess. Other than
First
us.
guest. Yeah. First official guest we had, and the first one we got for this segment, Daddy knows best. You know what I mean? We got Mr. Brian Cobb.
Appreciate it, fellas, man. It's good to see y'all journey. I think I was the first one. I got y'all pre-production, so I didn't get all the nice intro with the song and all that stuff, man. So I got to come back and get my own segment with the updated production or something, man.
Well, that's cool and all, but part of the production comes from your end, so you still ain't upgraded your camera, but it's all right.
Yeah,
It's all right. Next time for probably season 12, you might have a better microphone and at least an iPhone 8.
It's funny. We had a production staff at that point. Even production was worse.
Come on, man. You gotta come on early. See, look at B Call Wi-Fi. Look at it. He going already.
I'm on my phone. I had a call come in, man. So excuse me for that, man. But first,
See, he didn't realize he was supposed to put it on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, I do. Oh, that's right, man. But yeah, it's all good.
Because his voice ain't matching up with his camera.
Let me see. Oh, I'm not.
That's the Wi-Fi.
No, that's not the Wi-Fi. That's this app. That's a bad app. But yeah, man. First and foremost, man, I want to tell y'all how proud I am of y'all, man. I seen the progression. I think I remember when it was just a idea, and to see where you guys have taken it, man. Really proud of you guys, man. Really supportive of you guys' movement, man. And I hope you guys keep going, man.
Oh no, that's dope. We really appreciate it. So we'll let's get it started because we were scrolling the internets and we seen something that you posted that kind of piqued our interest. And AJ and I talked about it. He was like, yo, that'd be a dope topic. So you were talking about a parent's role in helping their children pick what university or college that they should attend, or providing your experiences and your insight into what they should do, and how much of that should weigh, their decision should weigh on what you decide. And so what we want to get out of you is, well, after posting that and thinking about it, what do you feel a parent's role should be in helping their child select the college and the university that they want to attend? And then I want to add to that, how involved should a parent be in what their child decides to actually pursue or major in?
Yeah, great questions, man. So for me, number one, it's emotional. Like, my oldest child is my daughter, and because I'm an active dad, she's been here. She's been in my house. So the idea of her leaving the house, number one, is starting to have some effect on me. Everybody says, "Oh, you put things in her, she'll be okay, of course." But I've always been her protector. She's always lived in my house. I was privileged to see her every morning and all of that stuff. So there was some concern there. There was some anxiety that I had. So when it come down to going to college, all right. So we have provided her a lifestyle where we stay in the suburbs, and great school system, very probably diverse school system, more just diverse, just different from what I grew up in DC, which was almost 100% black. It's really mixed, every nationality, and so I think that she wants the culture. She wants to experience the culture at HBCU. Myself and my wife, of course, you guys know, went to Fayetteville State University, HBCU, North Carolina. And my daughter wants to go to a HBCU in the city. And her top pick right now is Howard University. Great school. I grew up probably 3 or 4 blocks away from Howard,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some concern there for me. I wanted to know why she wanted to go to Howard, and that was important because um, for number one, cost was my thing, and major was my thing. So she wants to be a doctor. We already got that clear. OBGYN. So she wants to go to Howard undergrad and then go somewhere for medical school. I don't think we got that far yet. But um, I was reluctant in accepting her decision. I was reluctant because I didn't want her to get to go to Howard, select Howard, just because of the band or what she see on social media. I wanted her to go because she really wanted to go. And then I
Right.
also had some concerns about, um, making sure that she was aware of certain things. Okay, so Howard is a HBCU. It's in the city. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, we went to school in Fayetteville, which is a totally different world from DC.
Right.
So it's a different element. You may not be comfortable with a car. You may the parking is not adequate.
Right.
I don't know how security is because it's open. It's like anybody can
Mm-hmm.
walk up on the campus. So there were certain things that was concerning to me, that I wanted to challenge her with, while she was doing her selection process. So we went to Howard, toured Howard. She loved it off the rip. I mean, she loved it before we went there. And I was actually in DC for a conference, and my family flew up there, and went to Howard and everything. And then the
Right.
day that I was available, we went to Georgetown, which was my first selection. And we went to Georgetown, and her body language was off. All right, her body language was off. She wasn't as engaged as I thought she should have been. And we had a
And that's
conversation.
because of the medical school, right? Or that's just because you like Georgetown itself?
Well, I just think it's a prestigious school.
Okay.
I think it's prestigious school, and they have a great undergrad medical program there. Um,
Okay.
so
Cobb,
yes, sir.
I I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. The way you use prestigious right there just made it sound like just because it's a fucking white school. And I'm gonna be
No,
real.
no,
That's
no,
that's kind of like now
no.
Georgetown isn't just any white school. I
Right,
understand that.
right.
I understand that. But to use those certain type of words are the same words that you would use to describe Howard.
Okay, but
So
see,
so so
but
those
see,
so using those words, that's where and I know you don't mean it in a negative tone, but that's kind of
yeah,
how it will come off because and of course you don't mean it. You're part of HBCU, right?
right.
But it's those type of things like, well, it's a prestigious institution. Well,
Right.
what is Howard?
Okay.
What
So
words would you use to describe Howard?
let me say I would say I wouldn't say prestigious for Howard. I wouldn't say prestigious for Fayetteville State. I would say it's a one of the best HBCUs. Prestigious prestigious to me is Ivy League schools, not based on white or black, just based on the network. When I graduated from Fayetteville State and I went to the job fair, Enterprise was there, McDonald's, Hertz. When you go to Chapel Hill, it's um,
Well, pause there for a second, then,
sure,
because
sure, sure.
going back to what AJ's saying, can you name me in based on your criteria a
Mhm.
prestigious HBCU based on your criteria? Because everything you're naming is a PWI. When
What
you
you
when
mean?
you reference prestigious, so that's why I just want to make sure we clear on.
And I hate to say it, I am a Fayetteville State alumnus. I am not a Howard alumnus. But I would go to forward and say Howard is a very, very much a prestigious college because anybody of black prestige that you would consider prestige, especially when I was there, like if you if Colin Powell or Condoleezza Rice will go to Stanford, these same people walk on Howard's campus. So it just it's just not talked about as much. It might not be seen as much, but it happens. It is different. That's why I mean That's why I look at Howard. Howard is just a different. It's a different beast. It's because the location has a lot to do with it. History, when it comes to real change that happens,
Hmm.
a lot of that happens at Howard. A
Yeah.
lot
See,
of
I,
them have
I think
come
I
through
think we
Howard.
get lost in PWI HBCU. So for me, if I had an opportunity to go to, let's say Howard is the top HBCU, can we all agree on that? Maybe. All right. Howard top HBCU. All right. And let's say Georgetown is a top
Hmm.
school, right? If I had an opportunity to have a free ride to both of them, I would go to Georgetown. That's me personally.
Well, yeah, that is a personal thing
Right.
because in all transparency, yeah, in all transparency, I would say in my personal experience, I probably should have stayed at NC State based on what I went to school for, what my based on the network, stuff like that. So Felwood State, I love my experience. I will not trade it for the world. I met all y'all there, had a good time. But based on what I wanted to do, whether it was engineering, whether it was have a baseball team to play on,
Hmm.
those type of things, and along with something that you said key is your network. But it's what about the network? Meaning, Felwood State taught me how to network. Though it may not have had the network, it taught me how to utilize resources.
Hmm.
Whereas if I stayed at NC State, I might not have had learned the keys to networking and navigating my way through how you talk to people and gain information and stuff like that. But I would have had direct impact or direct access because of my professors, because of the proximity to other research triangle park, IT industry businesses and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I understand where you're coming from on that. And I don't think the word prestigious is getting talked about is in regards to race, but the way it's coming across is it is race associated. That's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah. So I think I'm more of and that's great that you say that because that's how my daughter took it. When she when
Mm.
when we had the conversation, she took it as I like, Dad, you went to an HBCU. How can you not be a fan? Right? So I had to explain to her that I'm not saying Howard isn't a great school.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that it's not a prestigious school. I'm telling you, I don't care. My job as a
Yeah.
parent is to put you in the best position that I feel that you should be in. Now, your mom thinks Howard is the best choice, great school. She's all for it. That's their alpha chapter for Delta 2. So I don't know, that might be got something to do with it too. Okay,
There's a little bias in there.
we got that hustle too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So but it's just, for me, it's pushing my child past where I went. So I went to an HBCU. Fine, whatever it was at Fayetteville State, it was great. It allowed me to be successful, meet you guys, and we had a ball. You know that, and I loved the experience. However, I'm pushing my child past me. I'm not saying that a school like Georgetown or Harvard or Yale is beyond anybody's intelligence capability. It's just a different level that comes with that to me. So that's my choice and my opinion. So
Hmm.
when I was struggling with accepting this or treating it like, I got an African neighbor, he said my kids got to go here. They got to be a doctor, or lawyer, or a dentist, and that's it. And that's what it is. And so I was like, well, am I being fair to my daughter, having this authoritative um, position with her
Hmm.
college selection? So that's when I put the post out there to get some opinions from some other parents on, what route are you taking? I mean, do you weigh in the fact of finances? Do you weigh in the fact that any of the kids that you got in your family that come behind the one that's going off to college? Um, and how are you planning? And I got some great advice, man. Really did. I think the one that stuck out to me the most is, um, having your financial cap the highest in-state tuition, And if she want to go outside of the state, then you're responsible for the highest in-state tuition, and then she can do loans or whatever she got to do for the rest. So
Really?
I mean, that's a
Okay.
yeah. So I thought that was good, and in addition to scholarships and stuff like that, man, that would be kind of my position on it at this point.
You know what's funny? When you said that you talked to your African neighbor, man, a lot of kids from different countries that grow up here will tell you they don't have a fucking choice. All right, I gotta be a doctor. I gotta be a lawyer. Like this is I don't have a choice. I don't have an option. And I instantly thought of like I don't know if that's a cultural thing, but also I know people with kids that come from money, they put in the same position.
Hmm.
Like their parents will tell you, no, you're going to school and you're going to do this. I don't
Hmm.
care what you do after school. You can do whatever it is you want to do after school. Like I know somebody had got a dad said, look, I'll pay for whatever business, whatever it is you want to do in life, but you got to go and get an MBA. You have to. There is no, but I want to, but this, but that. Like, no, you do this and
Hmm.
you listen to me, and I'm gonna steal you this way. Your education's been on me this far, and it's going to stay to be on me. And then after this, then I'll accept anything else you want to do. Now, do you think that's too much?
I mean, I just think that look, it's a disadvantage when you don't have somebody that's walked your path and trying to guide you in the right direction. If my daughter was to come to me and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm an artist. I want to go to Howard, $55,000 a year to major in art," I'm be like, "Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that because I can't see from my experience that it works like that with the
Right.
art. It's just these things. I think there's a grand responsibility on parents to have some influence on the child's decision and get them to articulate why you're going to this particular place. Why are we investing this money? I can't assume that my daughter's a straight A student and she's going to get a scholarship. I have to assume that I'm paying for it out of pocket because of the college hustle. So when
Yep.
it come down to it, all the clubs that you in high school, yeah, they're great. They're great resume builders. All the coaches that support you and the counselors that's gassing you up. At the end of the day, dad is going to have to come out of pocket for when you get a partial scholarship, or even when you get a full scholarship, but they ain't paying for housing and whatever. That's got to come out of me. So I want to have some type of skin in the game with the decision. Um, until you hear it from somebody that you can hear it from. You know how you can tell your kids a hundred times the same thing over and over again, and then they go to their coach and their coach say the same thing you said, and they understand it, right?
Oh my God, I
I
hate
was
that.
I was talking. I've been talking about this topic for almost 6 months, and I called Marcus Gibbs, our frat brother, Marcus Gibbs, who's one of the tightest, cheapest people on the face of the earth. Love Marcus Gibbs to death, and he said, "B, when you going to just let her make this will be her first adult decision. And if you force her to go somewhere else that she don't want to go and it don't work out, it's going to be your fault." Now, my wife been telling me something like that for a while, but I didn't hear it until Mark told me.
Someone just said the same. I talked about this conversation prior to us having this. Someone
Mhm.
said the exact same thing. Like, what if she goes there and now she hates it? She's gonna hate you for it and all this other stuff. Like that's
Yeah.
what exact conversation somebody just said. Somebody said the same thing.
So have they? So the person that said that, have they been in that put in that position to make that call, or are they talking from theory?
But you know what's crazy? Just like Gibbs, that person does not have kids.
Exactly
So
right. Because see, here's the thing, and
let's
this
go,
is
Eli.
no, I'm not gonna go in. I'm not gonna go in because the one thing that the one thing that I've come to realize is a lot of people talk on theory and logic, especially when you haven't experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
I just went through this, right? My daughter, 2 years ago, went to A&T. Now she transferred to Federal State, right? That is what it is. And then there's 2 points that I want to get to because I see things a little bit differently than people that have never experienced it or never been put in this position. One, when somebody says the best thing you can do is with the whole saving, with the in-state tuition and all that, or whatever, the prep, that sounds good. But from my point of view, if you don't start it early, you're already too late.
Mm-hmm.
Because I talk to a lot of parents now that never planned ahead far enough for their kid to go to college to actually start putting money away. So now when you're in the ninth grade, 10th, or they're in the ninth, 10th, 11th grade, now they're starting to put money away. To be honest with you, that's not financially smart and it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because now, are you going to put yourself in a bind trying to pay for them to go to college, right? That's the first thing. And the second piece of that is, depending on where they go, are you going to have tens of thousands of dollars every semester to pay for them to go to school, right? But see, the key to that is we've always been taught to set your kids up to have a better start at life than we had. So why do we want our kids to have to take out loans to go to school?
We don't.
Exactly. So when you take all those factors into consideration, leaving a decision that is true, that is their first big decision. That's why they have a hand in the decision. But part of having a hand in the decision is to actually school them with reality.
Exactly.
Meaning you might want to go here, but here's what we can do. So how can you work with us within this budget to still get something that you want? I'm not gonna go broke sending you to Duke because you want to go have be a Blue Devil and want to cost whatever, say $50,000 a semester to go to a private school. That's stupid. I don't care if it's your final decision or that's your dream school. You're not paying for it, and I'm trying to set you up for life. So when it goes back to say, well, yes, it's their first big decision. That is true. That's why you're not being a dictator. You're not saying, no, you're going here, but let's give me your top list. Let's narrow it down from there. Let's have a conversation. Let's visit them. Let's see what they can do. Then on top of that, let's see how that fits into what we can provide you the best opportunities. And not only just going to school, but being able to actually live while you're at school.
Yep.
You're not just paying for books, tuition, room, and board. You got life to live. You got
You're gonna want
other
that
things
hair
that
done.
you have to
You're
do.
gonna want the nails
You're
done.
gonna want those things. You're gonna want to be able to go to a game. You're gonna want to be able to go to a party that might be, I don't know what parties cost nowadays in college, but let's say it's $20. You know what I mean? You want to be able to do that. So you have quality of life while you're at school too. So giving a child because they're still a child, as long as, the way I look at it, as long as I'm paying for your school, you're still my child. So you have adult feedback and we have true conversation. So why not teach them how to manage finances throughout this decision, how to prioritize what's important, what's a necessity versus what's a luxury. So that's the part of the conversation that they're having the adult version of at this point. Not saying they just make 100% of the decision. That always doesn't make sense. I mean, and again, it sounds good on paper, but in reality, are you setting yourself back? Because after they graduate, who's still going to be paying that bill if you have to take out a loan to satisfy what they want?
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. So in the state of Georgia, they have this thing where if you graduate the state of Georgia, you're a resident, you apply to Georgia colleges, you qualify automatically for what they call the Hope Scholarship. Mm-hmm. And that could be, which majority of the time is 80% of the tuition. So essentially, you can go to University of Georgia. You could come out of there out of 4 years and pay $9,500 total. See, that's about right for me. That's about where I want to be.
That logically makes sense. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not, again, this has nothing to do with your household. This has nothing to do with how y'all, y'all do this. This has nothing to do with that. I'm just talking about the foundation, the premise behind this whole conversation. You know what I mean? It's not isolated to me, you, AJ, anybody that we know. I'm just talking about logically what makes sense. Because, like you said, here's another key to all of this. Not only do you have to pay for college, you still have to run a household. You still have other children. At the end of the day, again, not talking about you, I'm just talking in generalities. When parents make these type of decisions, because I actually had somebody like AJ, it's ironic how some of these conversations kind of overlap and integrate. The timing is crazy. They sent their child to Duke, no scholarship, paying for it. Kid graduate. They still got this debt that they still have to pay. Child gone. They took out the loans in their name. Well, okay, that's cool. That means the child doesn't have the loan, so the child technically still has a jump start on life. But now the parent is stuck not only with their regular bills, they got a whole another $100,000 flip house that they got to pay for because they sent their child to school that they couldn't afford out of pocket.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Just because you want to appease, that doesn't make sense to me.
Let me add this in there, Eli.
Go for it, bro.
I had conversations with my kids now. Well, she's the only one in high school now. My son Bryce going next year, and even the baby boy, 7, of getting them to have some skin in the game when it comes to that decision as well. So, me and your mom, we're going to provide. We're going to give you that comfortable room, the study area, all that. Good school system. Your job is to get the grades. We don't require you to work because your grades will dictate how much out of pocket we gotta handle. So if you choose to not do your part and get the grades, then you don't have no decision on where you go to school. That falls on me now. So that's how I kind of get them involved in the process of having some skin in the game with that decision. So,
well, see, I took it a step further.
Okay, holler at me.
I took it a step. If I'm gonna pay for your college, you have to maintain the 3 to 3.5. As soon as that grade point average starts falling, guess what? I'm not paying. Now you're gonna start putting yourself in debt to pay for your school. So that's how I did it, because my thing is, if you in college and you don't have to work, you already living high on the horse anyway.
Right.
But your job is to focus on your grade. You can have fun, but your priority is school. Your priority is your academics. Now, if you can't hold up your end of the bargain, I'm gonna start letting you go into debt, because it's just like a job to me. Your job is to get good grades. My job is to pay your school. If you can't do it, you figure it out on your own. So that's how I did it, because what I like that approach at first. But if I did that and then I take that stipulation off, what's to prevent you from not doing what you're supposed to do actually once you get out the house and I've already paid for college? So that's how I decided to do it. I'm like, look, we're gonna have to run this through school. You got 4 years. I pay for 4 years. Or go over 1, you got to keep that grade point average up. And 2, if you go over 4 years, you're on your own, especially if it's something that you did or didn't do. That's how I do it. So yeah, it's definitely something. I love this conversation because everybody has different opinions on how they should do it or what they should do. Yeah. Especially then on factoring into, well, what should you major in or what should you pursue? Now that's where I kind of hesitate to be like, you should do this. No, now it's dialogue. What are you interested in? What are you trying to do? Well, what's your backup plan? What you want to do ultimately.
Check this out, man. I want to put this on y'all and see what y'all thoughts are.
All right.
I'm black. I went to HBCU.
Oh my God!
I can't tell by that shirt.
No, listen. Listen. Why can't I be an advocate for my child in any other institution other than the HBCU? Why is that so taboo?
You asked the wrong one.
Not at all.
I don't agree with that. I told my daughter I wish she would have went to UNCG. for what she wanted to
So
do originally.
Mm-hmm.
My bad, AJ.
so for me, and it's just me, and I swear I feel like Howard's different, bro, because especially depending on how you grow up. Like I grew up around black people my whole life. All I know is black people, right? But then I saw so many different types of black people that I've never seen or never imagined I would see
Mm-hmm.
in my life. Like I honestly believe that fine, go to any other school, but you got to spend a semester or a year here. You got to really understand, and you start to embrace. And I don't realize all of that while I'm there, right? I realize this now, and now that I'm older, it's just looking back at it. It's like, man, that school changed my. If I would have started off at Fayetteville State and the same situation happened to me that happened at Howard, I probably would never went to another college. Right? Even as much fun as I had at Fayetteville State, I don't think if I wouldn't have had Howard first Fayetteville, it would never happen. Like it's just no way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's something about that school, that campus, I believe for us as black people should experience. Now, do I think you should go to grad school there? No. Do I honestly think you should do undergrad there and go to grad school somewhere else.
That's
Or
what
if you
you
just
do, man.
or if you kill a semester, you take a semester there and go somewhere else, that's fine. But I honestly believe like that campus is just different.
But
It's
AJ,
just
let's
different.
look at all the accolades and shout out to Howard. I mean, every time I had this conversation, Howard, my family members that went to Howard come for my neck, claim I'm hating on Howard. It's not hate on Howard. It all those accolades. Why is the price tag, bro?
Well, I hate Howard.
Okay.
They took my scholarship. They brought me up on the. Nah, I never let this go. So they brought me up on my official visit, offered me a football and a baseball scholarship to punt and to pitch. And they took that scholarship and gave it to a dude, a kicker in Texas, while I was right there. So no, because they no actually it wasn't a dude in Texas. It was a dude that was in Virginia because they said it was cheaper to pay him just to kick than it would be to pay out of state tuition for me. So they took my scholarship because I didn't accept it before I got on that plane. So nah, I don't like Howard right there.
Wow, they about to
It's
they
like,
about,
man,
I'm gonna be
okay,
honest with
it took 2 years. We got to the truth.
you. Yeah, I don't like Howard.
so
Anyway,
yeah. It's just for that luxury of having that Howard name on you, it's costly for sure. And my daughter was putting me up on games. She was like, "Dad, everybody that applies and get accepted get a scholarship." And I shouldn't probably have said this to her, but I did. And I came back
oh Lord,
and told her so she can understand. I said, "Do you not understand the hustle of the markup? They put the tuition at 55 a year, and then they say they give you a scholarship.
I give
Okay,
you
so
$5,000 scholarship.
okay, 5 or 10, all right, and then you
Mm-hmm.
on the hook for 45.
Mm-hmm.
That's classic hustle, Howard University. You know what I'm saying? The marketing is great. The vice president went there. It's a lot of alpha chapters there. The Greek life is there. Shout out to our brother Bruce up there. I think
Oh
what
yeah, he
Bruce.
doing his thing. Yep.
Yeah. I actually saw Bruce up there at a when I went through Howard last time. But yeah, man, it's just a more financially sound decision. I have to assuming that I got all the money in the world to pay for it. Do I want to pay for it still? And that's why
How much is Georgetown?
Georgetown 72. However,
Calm, shut up.
Hey, hold
Shut
on.
up. Eli, I was just waiting. I know Georgetown ain't like you say that you complain about that price, and then you're going to sit up there and say, "But my first choice is $72,000 a year."
I'm gonna
Hold
tell you
on. And you
why.
said $9,500 for 4 years in Georgia.
I'm gonna tell you why. And it may be ignorance on the topic. However, the program explained to me from pre med through medical school at Georgetown was compressed into a certain amount of years, and it guaranteed you access to medical school. Like you wouldn't have to apply like an outside person.
Great
Um,
marketing, Georgetown.
Word. Word. He falling for it. That's why he got that shirt so tight to the neck.
Yeah. Hey, they had you the pamphlet too.
a pamphlet? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So you got the Georgetown folder in the house.
I mean, I got I bought a lot of stuff at that bookstore, and I got all the paperwork. You know what
I'm
I'm
gonna tell you what, but because y'all are from up there, I didn't know until I actually got into college that Georgetown was actually a
Was not a
PWI.
yeah. You know why?
I didn't know that.
No, listen, Eli. You know why? Because we getting old, and I know what it is, and that's why Cobb likes goddamn Georgetown. Patrick Ewing's not walking through that door. Cobb. Alonzo Mourning is not walking through that door, Cobb.
AI?
Allen Iverson's not walking through that door. Like, bro, you're acting like you. But Pete, so this is what's funny because of Georgetown's basketball team and the love that it got, and everybody wearing the starter
Word.
jacket and all of that, right? But you have to understand, those were probably the only black people on Georgetown
I
campus.
didn't know. Being in North Carolina, I didn't know.
And you know what's crazy? The only other people that were in Georgetown that were black, niggas were selling drugs. What a drug dealers out there buying clothes. That's
Yep.
it. And that's no lie.
Yeah.
The only black people you seen there, they was hustling or they played basketball.
I did have a different
It's
perspective
crazy.
once I got. We actually did the official college tour, campus tour, and the kids were different, man. I mean, but it kind of enticed me to want her to go there because they were so serious. You remember how we was on campus, man, and I felt like when they went to Howard, it was a lot of rah rah, but it wasn't it ain't have a lot of substance, bro. Yeah, the band tight, the culture tight. I told my daughter, I said, look, you of the culture. You don't have to go to Howard to experience the culture. You
That's a
of the
lie.
culture.
That's a lie. That's a lie, Cobb.
Yeah, that's a lie, Cobb.
So no.
Yeah,
Wait
it
a
is.
second. Wait
Yeah,
a
it
second,
is.
B Cobb.
Yeah, it is,
B
Cobb.
Cobb.
Okay.
You what you just did right there. You input yourself into your
Yep.
daughter because her situation. You are of the culture. You are these like all of that.
Yep.
Like Cobb. Her walking to the corner store and getting some fries and mumbo sauce. She's not of that culture. She's not of that culture. Like, like, come
See,
on,
and
Cobb.
that-
You're
and
lying.
that-
You're lying
Yep.
to yourself about that. And if you like if you think she's of the culture, when you get to Howard, there's a whole different culture that you don't even know exists. A whole black culture you have no idea about. Because I was definitely from the culture, and I have some shit I never seen, never heard of, dialects I never heard before. Like, no, she's not from the culture. Like, I'll ask you this.
Oh,
It's,
Lord.
it's, it's funny. Can you say about 5 or 10 of her friends have both parents are black? Mom and dad are both black.
No.
Okay. How many? But growing up, pretty much everybody you knew. Not saying that the dad was around, but you knew that it was black, right? You knew
Yeah.
mom was black, right? Like that's like that type of culture. All of that, like it's a blended culture she's growing up in. It just is. So you can't. So that could do
And that's
her
not a
very
bad thing.
well.
That
It's
is
not a bad thing at all.
because we've worked so hard to provide a better life than we had when we were growing up for our kids. So that automatically takes them away from all the culture that you may speak of because socioeconomically they're not in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
If you look around your neighborhood, if you look around her schools, you know what I mean. And I'm only speaking for up here because I can't speak to the demographics where you living at, but I know how you're living, and how you're living is not necessarily of what most of us live in.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you can't just say our children are of the culture. That is not that can't be 100% true because once they get immersed in what the real culture is, sometimes it's still a culture shock.
Yeah. So
Think about it. Do you feel like is she immersed in Atlanta culture?
Exactly right.
Thank you. If you can't, y'all live right off.
Exactly right.
What are we talking about?
Because if you think about it, when I speak about culture, I'm not going to project what I think on what everybody else think. When I speak of culture, I actually speak of the struggles that because sometimes a lot of the culture comes from struggle. If you really be honest with it,
Yeah, definitely.
you see what I mean. So we've tried to provide a life where they can ask you for anything that they want in the world, and you can financially give it to them if you so choose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different than a lot of their peers that they're not really around. So that's how I've had to kind of navigate it personally because I'm like, yo, I thought my daughter, we was trying to give my son and my daughter as much culture as possible, but you kind of limit it when you know what I mean, when you continue
Elevate a
trying to
little bit.
level up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I definitely receive and
So yeah,
respect
you
that.
lying fast.
Come on, man. I think it's number one. It's a beautiful thing, man. We sitting here talking about out of all the things we could talk about. We talking about strategizing for these kids to go to college. So that's number one. Number two, it's just my intentions be great, but I think sometimes the delivery is can be viewed as off putting or siding. And I had to explain to my daughter, I'm not taking a side. It's just all I know is really my personal experience. I
Mm-hmm.
know that when it was around homecoming time, how they beefed up the campus. And the food in the cafeteria was a little better. All right. And I don't want you to have to go through seeing other campuses. So I'm gonna tell you this: if I could get in Carolina, I'd have went to Carolina. I couldn't get in, so it's important to me for once she leave this house, she's in a place where she's comfortable and a place where I'm comfortable too, and that's where I'm at with it. And that don't always come across sincere. It come across like I don't want her to experience the HBCU. And I told her, I said, if you really want it, you gonna get it. You gonna get it. So
Georgia State.
listen, I'm telling you,
Georgia
man.
State ain't no HBCU.
Look, you gonna get it. I said some things you want, you may not necessarily like. Like y'all said, you could be in the culture but not immersed in the culture and get that side of it, and you may not like it. You know what I'm saying? So
But you got to figure it out, though.
yeah. And so as parents, do we allow a long rope, or do we keep the rope short? You know what I'm
Listen,
saying?
someone aware enough to feel as though they're lacking something within themselves, and they want to search that out, and they can articulate that I want to find my culture somewhere, then I would let them go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm at that age, I wasn't smart enough to even think of no shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
let's
yeah,
be real. Like, if you could, like, if you're impressing me already. Like, yeah, okay, you probably do know a little bit more than what you're talking about. Like,
bro,
you
I
get
couldn't.
you know them if you trust your child and you understand who they are. Like me, I mean, I was a dumb decision maker, but I ain't really have. They let me in, so I got it. So I was like, that's it.
Yeah. Um, I will say that she's well advanced. I think all of our children at the stage we were is especially in high school, junior year,
Mm.
fool. I was a fool, and so she's so advanced past me. Um, man, I just kind of really don't want her to leave for real. I want her to stay local. I told her to go down the street to Kennesaw State and stay at the house. You'll be all right. I'll pay for that. Give you
Well,
a
I
car.
tell you what, you gotta. We definitely gonna follow up on this as it goes along because that's a conversation that a lot of households are having, and
Mhm.
that's a great conversation to be having because it shows that you're providing opportunities. It shows that you're having dialogue and not just talking to your child. You're actually having conversations
Mhm.
of substance, and so that's kudos to you and your household first and foremost. Um, but I will say. that this conversation is just started, because as it comes, and then when you start putting everything down on paper and start figuring it out, we're definitely going to follow up and see what the final decision is, because
Yo.
you know that what they call you, that Peter from Real Houses.
Yeah, they didn't put beard on me, man. Look, I can't dye my beard like the Mother Brothers, man. I gotta let mine through. So yeah, they call me Peter from Real Housewives, man. Crazy.
Yeah, that's funny, but nah, I love this conversation because it definitely has layers, and it definitely has nuance, because you hear so many different approaches. You know what I mean? Like, from how far do you go to how do you pay for it to what do you major into? Like you just said, how much leverage do you give? How much rope do you give to before you have to pull the reins back to say, okay, well, this is not going the way, or however those criteria are set, or the criteria that you make for, okay, well, if you do this A, Y, you know, A, B, and C, then I'll take care of X, Y, Z with some conditions. You know what I mean? So there's so many different layers to this conversation that, you know, I know y'all are prepared for it, but I can't wait to hear the follow up to it.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely keep you guys updated, man.
We're only supposed to be talking about 20 minutes. This is a long conversation.
Yeah, and if it's her and the mama got one way, then you lost anyway. So
I already lost.
Yeah, we already knew that. It was just for the sake of conversation and broaching the topic. Because
yeah, you definitely lost.
Listen, me and AJ talked about it, right? We already know this conversation was not about you, because it takes. I ain't gonna hang on. It takes the power of the household, the power dynamic of the household to make these decisions.
First of all,
understood that you're the representation of the household, but you're just trying to put on the show for the conversation and show the male presence, even though you're not the decision maker. But it's okay.
I called you the jester.
That shit was loaded as hell, first of all. And, you know, I feel like I've already lost that battle, though. So
yeah, I mean, you know, but it was good having you know, present your argument.
Right.
And it was very entertaining.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely keep you guys updated, man. Appreciate y'all having this conversation with me, man. It was dope.
Yeah, man. We gave you an opportunity to vent, so it's okay.
Vent. We all our mental health therapists, you know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. By the time she graduates, Georgetown be a cool $80,000. You got it. Thank you for watching another episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you liked what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.